Don't talk, just listen. I'm sorry what I did to Compton. I couldn't help it. Don't know why I had to stab her. I am so upset about it. I keep getting drunk every night. I can't believe it. It's just like a big dream. I can't think of being locked up. If I get locked up, I'll kill myself. I'd rather kill myself than get locked up. I'll try not to kill anybody else.
Fire emergency.
Please don't talk, just listen. I'm sorry I killed that girl. I stabbed her 40 times. Kimberly Compton was the first one. Overseas. I don't know what's the matter with me. I'm sick. I'm going to kill myself, I think.
Where are you?
I'm just going to... If somebody dies with a red shirt on, it's me. I killed both of you. I'm sorry. I'll never make it to heaven.
Calm down. Calm down.
Oh, you find me? I just stabbed somebody with an ice pick. I can't stop myself. I keep killing somebody. Yes, please. This is an emergency. Please send a squad to Pierce Butler Road, Molenberg Manufacturing Company, machine shop. Please, there's an ambulance too. There's a girl hurt there.
Can you tell me what happened to her?
Just hurry. She's laying on the ground in the back by the railroad tracks, by the edge here. Hurry.
What's the address?
I don't know.
Who are you?
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the voice you just heard was that of Minnesota serial killer Paul Michael Stefani, otherwise known as the Weepy Voiced Killer. And today we're going to go on a little bit of a tour and show you some of the sites that are associated with him and his victims. So we're off to our first stop where Karen Potak was attacked. And as soon as we get there, I'll turn the camera back on and we can start from there. See you then. Alright guys, we're here at the first site. Right here is where Molenberg Manufacturing used to be, here in St. Paul. It's an industrial area, as you can tell here. This is the site where Karen Potak was attacked. On New Year's Eve 1980, she left a party and Stefani picked her up and brought her here. And right back here, I don't know if I'll be able to see the railroad tracks or not. There's a lot of brush here. It's a little too overgrown. Yeah, but right behind here where you see all this brush and stuff that are some railroad tracks. And on New Year's Eve of 1980, he brought her back here and attacked her. Hit her, they say, between 10 and 12 times with a tire iron, and had damaged her so horribly that her brain was partially showing outside of her skull. And a couple hours later, after he returned home, he called the police. Thank God she survived her ordeal, but she was left permanently disabled. Thank God she didn't remember the attack because of the severity of her wounds, but she also wasn't able to identify who it was that had attacked her. It's no longer Molenberg Manufacturing anymore, though. It's been a couple of different businesses since then, and right now it's currently closed. Nothing much going on here. So this is it. First site associated with Stefani. So off we go to the second site. I'll see you then. Okay guys, what we're looking at right now is Mickey's Diner in downtown St. Paul on West 7th. And this is where Kimberly Compton met Paul Michael Stefani on June 3rd of 1981. She'd just gotten off of the bus station a few blocks down the street from here and had come in here to get something to eat. Stefani was inside having a cup of coffee. They got to talking. He managed to convince her to go for a ride. 15 minutes after accepting a ride, she was dead. She was murdered by getting stabbed 61 times with an ice pick. They dumped her body by an unfinished highway not too far from here by the Mississippi River, where she was discovered by a group of teenagers going for a walk. And she's buried in Oakwood Cemetery in Pepin, Wisconsin, and she was only 18 years old. Now, the cops at first couldn't identify her until they found a key on her, though. A key for one of those little lockers that you get at bus stations. Because after going to the bus station and finding her personal effects in there, they're able to identify her and notify her family. So that's it for downtown St. Paul. Mickey's Diner. Both the famous and the infamous have died. See you at the next spot. Okay, folks, we're at Forest Lawn Memorial Park, which is the site of Kathleen Greening's final resting place. So when I find the grave, turn you back on and I'll tell you her story. See you in a few. Alright guys, we're here at the Forest Lawn Memorial Park, and I for the life of me cannot find Kathleen's grave. I have an approximate location, but she has one of those flat gravestone markers that are flush with the ground, and there are so many here that are just completely covered over by grass and leaves that I'm just gonna give up looking for it. It's unfortunate though, I wanted to give a shot of it, so but anyway, Kathleen was killed on the 21st of July 1982 by Paul Michael Stefani. Well, he drowned her in the bathtub. Originally her death was ruled accidental drowning by the coroner. Her family didn't buy that. They insisted that she had been murdered. But without any evidence, there's nothing they could do about it. At first they suspected that it was her estranged husband who had killed her. But he had an airtight alibi, so nothing to go on. It just stood as an accidental drowning. Until 1997, when Stefani got his cancer diagnosis of malignant melanoma and was given a year to live, when he finally confessed to the rest of his crimes. It was then that family learned about what really happened to their daughter, their loved one. And she was buried in this cemetery here. She was only 33. And she was discovered by her best friend the night after, the day after her killing. They had a plan to go to Mackinac Island for a little vacation for the two of them. And after she didn't answer her door, her best friend went in and started looking around. That's when she found Kathleen in her bathtub. Called police, and that's where everything stood. So it's too bad I couldn't find her headstone. I've been looking all over. If you guys notice, a lot of these headstones, or markers I should say, aren't even some of them are such covered with dirt you can't even barely see them anymore. So I'll just put up a picture of it. But, that's it from here, from Forest Lawn Memorial Park. Alright guys, we're here at Oak Hill Cemetery, which is where Beverly Simons is buried. She is one of the 3 actual murder victims of Paul Stefani. Here we go. There we can get in here. Okay. It's been a little bit difficult to find her grave, but as soon as we do, I'll turn the camera back on. See you then. Alright guys, so we're here at Oak Hill Cemetery in Minneapolis. Found out that Paul Stefani's victim, Barbara Taylor Simons, is in an unmarked grave. So this is the approximate spot of where her grave would be had she had a headstone or a marker of any kind. Barbara met Simons at the Hexagon Bar in Minneapolis. I was going to show you that, but unfortunately the place got burned down in the riots that happened here a little while back. But they met at the bar and got to talking. She offered him a cigarette, and after a couple of hours left. She wound up being stabbed 106 times by Stefani and left by the banks of the Mississippi River. A newspaper carrier found her body the following morning. She was killed on the 5th of August, 1982. She was 40 years old. Just sad that someone had to die like that, victim of a serial killer. They don't even have a simple headstone to mark where her eternal resting place is. Just forgotten. It's pretty sad. But anyway, that's it for Oak Hill Cemetery. And then we're off to our next spot. I'll see you there. Alright, so we're at another site associated with Paul Stefani. We're at 335 Coolidge Street in northeast Minneapolis. Industrial area, right between Dolan Printing and a window company. And it's right in the back of this dead-end parking lot by these railroad tracks where Denise Williams was attacked. And I'm going to read for you from the State versus Stephani court case. He appealed in 1985 his conviction. So here's directly from the... Okay. Opinion, Judge Crippen. Paul Stefani appeals from his convictions of attempted second-degree murder and assault in the second degree. He contends a host of errors, either individually or cumulatively, denied him a fair trial or improperly enlarged his sentence. We affirm. And here's where they go into descriptions about what actually happened on August the 20th of 1982. Facts. On the evening of August 20th, 1982, Paul Stefani approached Denise Williams on Hennepin Avenue in Minneapolis, offering her $100 to have some fun with him. Denise Williams was a 19-year-old woman who had been a prostitute since she was 13 years old. They left in Stefani's car to his St. Paul apartment. Stefani gave her $40, promising to pay her another $60 later. Williams engaged in a sex act with Stefani. She accepted a ride back from Stefani, thinking he would drop her off in downtown Minneapolis. And instead of driving the freeway, Stefani took an indirect route through back roads. During the drive, Stefani talked of his sexual fantasies. Williams testified that she was getting the creeps. She asked where they were, and Stefani told her Hennepin Avenue. Stefani drove for another 2 blocks and turned quickly into a dead-end parking lot near East Hennepin and Coolidge Avenue in Minneapolis, which is where we're at right now. After stopping, Stefani told her some ass, grass, or gas, and no one rides for free. Williams tried to get out of the car, but he grabbed her left hand and stabbed her in the stomach with a Phillips screwdriver. Stefani continued stabbing her, and Williams fell back in the seat. She felt a pop bottle on the floor of the car, grabbed it, and hit him on the head. She tried to hit him in the eye and cut Stefani's cheek, head, and hand. And Stefani continued to stab her. He screamed in a very high-pitched voice that Williams was just like the rest of some other broads. Williams was scratching, biting, and kicking Stefani in an effort to foil his attack. Stefani then opened the passenger door and they fell out onto the pavement. Stefani was on top of her, stabbing, and Williams decided to stop fighting and play dead. She said, I'm dying, and laid there. But Stefani continued stabbing her. Williams screamed for help. Williams' screams were heard by Douglas Panning, a young man who lived nearby. And there's some houses across the street where I'll show you where the guy lived. Panning ran over to the parking lot and saw blood on the pavement and on Stefani and Williams. Panning observed Stefani on top of Williams, stabbing her with the screwdriver at least 5 or 6 times. Panning heard the screwdriver make a thud noise when it hit bone. He saw Williams had the neck of a broken bottle in her hand. Panning grabbed Stefani's left arm. Stefani jumped up, stared at Panning, and then came at him with the screwdriver, taking a couple of swings at him. Stefani chased Panning to the end of the parking lot, and Panning ran home and called the police. Stefani then went to his car and drove off. Panning went back to assist Williams. When the police came, Williams gave her the name Mary Gross. She was afraid to give her real name since there was a warrant out for her arrest. Williams had failed to appear at a workhouse in Minneapolis as required by a condition of probationary supervision, which was imposed after she was convicted for aggravated forgery. Williams was taken to a hospital where it was observed she had about 15 puncture wounds. The injuries were in her lower right chest, upper right abdomen, and right side of her head. One wound punctured her lung, another punctured her liver, and since she had puncture-type wounds, there was a minimum amount of external bleeding. Meanwhile, Stefani returned home and requested an ambulance. He told the emergency dispatcher that he had gotten beat up. Stefani was taken to a hospital for treatment of cuts of his head, hand, and cheek, and for an injury to his nose. Now this is the site of the last attack. After this, and it's called the 911, under examination by the people the cops and the EMTs that came to assist him, he started adopting the weepy voice that you all heard on the 911. Sorry guys, I forgot to tell you that I was going to show you where the houses were, where the Good Samaritan lived. See, but here is the parking lot. And as you can tell, right across the street, here's the houses where Panning heard Williams scream for help, came over and helped her. So, off we go again. Okay guys, we're here at 1505 West Minster Street, which was Paul Stefani's apartment building here in St. Paul. I don't know if we get out or not. I don't want to bug anybody. But here it is right here. On the right hand side, this building we're about to pass. I'm not sure what specific apartment it is, but this is where he lived at the time of the killings, and this is where police wound up arresting him at after he called 911 after the attack on Miss Williams. So there you have that. It'd be kind of weird getting an apartment and finding out that a serial killer had lived there before you did. I was kind of surprised the building's still standing. But be off to the next stop. I'll see you then. Okay guys, I'm home now. I'm in the middle, or almost to the end here of editing this video. Just doing some last few minute things on here, and I'll have it up as soon as I possibly can. Just wanted to say thanks for coming along with me today, and I'll see you next time.